From being trapped in mental institutions for most of her early teens to the real reason why she's swearing off of men, here are some Drew Barrymore secrets you never knew. Today is the day we're digging deep into the incredible life of Drew Barrymore. Man, oh man, this girl has one heck of a story. From growing up in the spotlight to dealing with addiction, she's been through it all. So let's rewind and imagine being Drew Barrymore. She burst onto the scene at the tender age of 5, starring in this crazy sci-fi horror flick that caught everyone's attention. But it was her role in E.T. just 2 years later that shot her straight into the superstar league. I mean, who could forget that adorable pigtailed girl named Gertie? She stole our hearts and made us believe in friendly aliens. But fame wasn't all sunshine and rainbows for Drew. Behind the scenes, things were a bit rocky. You won't believe this, but she made quite the impression on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson at just 7 years old. I'm talking about a little kid flirting with the host and casually ditching her fake teeth on his desk. Talk about fearless and funny, not to mention controversial as heck. It would have been great if that was the only controversial thing in her childhood. But nope, the root of all this came down to her not-so-very-stable parents. Well, let's just say they were a hot mess. Her dad battled alcoholism, her mom had questionable parenting skills, and they split up when she was just 9. Brace yourselves, because this is just the start of the drama, because this is where it gets really messy. Her dad, John, might have been an actor himself, but let's just say he wasn't exactly the father of the year material. He bailed on the family when Drew was just 6 months old and never bothered to form a meaningful relationship with her. And her mom, Jade? Oh boy, lack of parental training does not begin to cover it. Picture this, taking your kid to Hollywood parties and even Studio 54 before they're even a teenager. Yep, Drew lived the life of a pint-sized party girl, painting the town red 5 nights a week. Can you even fathom that? But wait, the parental drama doesn't end there. Jade, in a shocking display of motherly love, decided to sell Drew's baby clothes in online auctions. Can you believe it? No wonder she didn't make the cut for Drew's wedding guest list in 2012, if only that was all of it. Oh no, this was just the beginning of all the ways Drew's parents messed her up. All the really scandalous details spilled later in Little Girl Lost, published in '91 by none other than Drew. We're talking pouring liquor over her ice cream at the tender age of 7 and getting her first taste of booze at a party as a whopping 9 years old. And if that isn't wild enough, she even slow danced with Emilio Estevez afterwards. Talk about living life in the fast lane. Party nights were a regular thing for Drew and her mom, hitting the town like there was no tomorrow, sometimes up to 5 nights a week. At the young age of 13, Drew checked into rehab for the first time in '88. But here's the twist, folks. She didn't stop there. She also spent a jaw-dropping 18 months in a mental institution. Can you imagine that? It was like a twisted mix of boot camp and a real-life horror story, an experience that would leave anyone messed up. To add more fuel to the fire, at 14, Drew even attempted to take her life, which landed her back in rehab for a second round. But guess who came to the rescue? None other than musician David Crosby and his wife, who opened their doors and hearts to Drew for 3 months. They believed she needed a solid support system of people committed to sobriety. And boy, were they right. She eventually came to terms with the fact that her parents couldn't handle it all, that they were spectacularly bad at their job. And it was time to let go of that anger. She picked herself up and moved forward, embracing a new chapter in her life. By the time she hit 15, she had already been to rehab twice and even managed to emancipate herself, finding her own place to crash. Now, that's what I call an early start to adulting. Thankfully, throughout this ordeal, Drew had the support of another superhero celebrity. Here's a juicy tidbit. When Drew was just a kid, she actually had the guts to have her mom ask the legendary director Steven Spielberg to be her godfather. And guess what? He said yes. Imagine having Spielberg as your godfather. That's some serious Hollywood clout. In all this gloom and doom, Drew did have some happy moments, which she fixated on to keep going. She opened up about her early teenage years when she had to navigate adulthood all by herself. Picture this, a disaster of an apartment, fungus growing everywhere, and being scared to sleep in a sketchy neighborhood. It was a challenging time for our girl Drew, no doubt. Her 20s and 30s were a wild ride. It was a time of hard work, partying hard, and enjoying massive success. She fully embraced her belated adolescence and grabbed every opportunity that came her way. Remember that infamous table dance on David Letterman's show? Oh yeah. Drew knows how to make an entrance. It's clear that she had a rough childhood and followed it up with some raging success in her 20s and 30s. But that's not to say that she still doesn't suffer from breakdowns. No way. Our girl still has the ability to go viral over emotional breakdowns, even shocking ones at birthday surprises. Earlier this year, Drew went all out to celebrate Jennifer Garner's 51st birthday. I'm talking balloons, a trip to her hometown, a key to the city, and a generous donation to save the children. But hold on a minute, folks. According to a Vulture profile, Drew had some serious doubts about the whole extravaganza right after it happened, and that might very well be the reason why everything fell apart. In a private confession to her live audience, Drew spilled the tea. She revealed that making her show sometimes sends her into a whirlwind of personal emotions. And guess what? The birthday bash for Jennifer Garner triggered one heck of a spiral for our beloved host. Drew admitted to hearing negative voices in her head, making her feel like she was messing everything up because she's a self-proclaimed messy person. Meanwhile, she sees Jennifer as this poised and put-together woman. Talk about a serious case of self-doubt. But did Drew let that bring her down? Nah, she's a fighter, my friends. Even though she felt like running away and crying, she couldn't do that because she's a professional. Drew girl, let's just say we've all been there. Just because she's older doesn't mean Drew still isn't the star of many controversies. She just took over the internet with the jaw-dropping drama that unfolded when she appeared to kneel before the infamous transgender star, Dylan Mulvaney. Talk about a shocker. Critics came out swinging, arguing that Drew should never bow down to someone they believe trivializes womanhood. And hold on to your seats because Dylan, who identifies as female but calls herself a girl instead of a woman, even compared herself to a Barbie doll. Can you believe the audacity? The women's rights brigade went wild. But wait, it gets juicier. In the heat of the debate, Drew, emotional and genuine as ever, expressed her disbelief that anyone could dislike Dylan. And guess what? Dylan's response was a bombshell. Oh, please, you want to know who dislikes me the most sometimes? Myself. Cue the gasps and dropped jaws and also a couple of eye rolls. Together, they exposed the dark underbelly of online abuse, shedding light on those horrendous trolls and the heartbreaking struggles Dylan faced as a child. It was an emotional roller coaster ride, my friends, with shocks and surprises at every turn. Twitter exploded like never before. Detractors unleashed their fury, demanding that Drew stop being a handmaiden to Dylan. But hold on a minute. Let's not forget that Drew has a habit of getting on her knees during interviews. Oh, the plot thickens. Mental breakdowns and spirals aren't the only reason she's been going viral again. No way. Drew Barrymore not looking to date after marrying thrice. Now that's the conversation starter. After her divorce from husband Will Kopelman in 2016, it seems like Drew isn't exactly eager to jump back into the dating pool. In a candid conversation with New York Magazine, our girl spilled the beans on her reluctance to explore new relationships. Here's the scoop. Drew has had her fair share of marriages, 3 to be precise, and she's been riding the single train for the most part. Sure, she's had a few occasional dates here and there, but she's not actively seeking romance. Why, you ask? Well, according to Drew, she's simply burnt out on all the lovey-dovey stuff. She's tired, exhausted, in need of a break, and damn, that's just too relatable for everyone. But wait, there's more. Drew isn't one to shy away from self-reflection. She's been hitting up therapy to figure out why she's not open to a relationship. It's like a detective story, but instead of solving crimes, she's trying to crack the case of her own heart. Drew, we're rooting for you, girl. From the real reason why she's swearing off of men to being trapped in mental institutions for most of her early teens, those were some Drew Barrymore secrets you never knew.